What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Pitchside Podcast. I'm your host, the HOD of the PSP, and welcome to episode 73 of the show. Follow us on social media, PSP on Twitter, Pitchside Pod on Instagram. Follow us, of course, on Spotify, Google Podcast, listen to the podcast there, and like, share, comment on this video on YouTube, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Most importantly, enable notifications to receive all the updates of the episodes and other content, and join us for more. You're welcome. We're kicking things off from yesterday's action, of course, but not where you expect us to start. It's not in the Champions League. We're going to round things up of what happened in other leagues in the Premier League. Two games were played yesterday from other rounds, of course. Everton lost to Man City 3-1 before that. Burnley drawn against Fulham. One, of course, the Burnley-Fulham game is a game in hand from round 17. The Everton-Man City game is from round 16, and Man City with that victory make it 17 in a row in the Premier League. That is in all competitions, not in the Premier League. In all competitions, that is a record shattering kind of number for the English clubs. They go now 10 points above Man United and Leicester at the top of the table, and now they played all of their games with alongside those sides, of course. They now played all of their fixtures, and they go as clean of a slate as they possibly can to the next week. Of course, Burnley became 15th with 27 points. Fulham remain in the 18th spot with 19 points, pretty far from the closest team to them, Newcastle, with 6 points. But it's all about Man City, really, shattering the record, proving that they deserve to win the league this season. They've been on a mean run as of late, and they seriously deserve to win it. I mean, they've been favourites to win it since a month ago or a while. They started really beating everyone. This is something like 17th victory in a row. This is 17 victories in all competition. It doesn't come with just having a good team. It must come with a good coach. So all credit to Guardiola here, transformed the side. The Ruben Dias, of course, becoming one of the biggest signings for Man City's history, I would say. His effect is like Van Dijk. He should be Player of the Year, I think, in my opinion. Maybe Gundogan would be a good chat, but I think if you're going to do it, give it to Ruben Dias. I already gave it to Van Dijk already last season, so I think he should be up there, really, with the best of the best. In La Liga, of course, Atletico Madrid dropped points to Levante. Finally, they dropped points, I think. This is the second draw in 3 matches for Atletico Madrid. Nothing to worry about, really. I mean, yes, they are 6 points now ahead of Real Madrid, and this gap could go to 3 points by the end of the week. But of course, you have to take in mind that Atletico Madrid also still have another game in hand to play. Barcelona and Sevilla do as well, so that could go somewhere else. Atletico Madrid could still drop some points. I mean, and everyone is waiting for them to drop points. Really, the next game for them is in fact going to be against Levante. It's going to be this week. On Saturday is going to be against Levante, the same team that had dropped points against. This could be something good for the La Liga clubs. Could Levante, do it twice and make Atletico Madrid drop points again and help the other clubs maybe climb a little bit out of the table, give us something similar to a title race, really. I wish that personally, but I still don't think it will happen. I'm still doubting it. Maybe until my dreams get crushed and I come to the harsh reality that it will be a title race anyway. And let's move on. And now let's talk about, of course, the Champions League. 2 games were played yesterday, of course, and I'm not going to talk a lot about the Sevilla-Dortmund game because it has been, discussed, I think, in the review enough, I would say. We discussed the big points of it, but what I'm going to say is that I think Sevilla got a door and I got a way back into this game with a second goal for Luke de Jong, because really they were routed at certain points in this game by Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund had a terrific defensive performance, I would say, until the very last few moments where Thomas Meunier came in and made a couple of mistakes on the set-piece defending, and also almost gave Sevilla a penalty until the VAR checked and the referee didn't really decide for it. That's what I'm going to say, really. I think, Borussia Dortmund maybe are the closest to qualify, but Sevilla could get something out of the second leg. I mean, a 3-1, as I mentioned in the review, is different from a 3-0 result. But, of course, I think the biggest... somehow this result got overshadowed by a very, very poor performance from Juventus away from home to De Dragao. They lose against Porto 2-1, an early goal, a very, very early goal by Mahdi Taremi, and Juventus gifted Porto the lead, literally. Bentancur with a miss pass towards Chesney gives Mahdi Taremi the opportunity. The Iranian scores, and he doesn't really hesitate about it. Of course, you're giving him a ball in the 6-yard box and you want him not to score. You're crazy, man. He scores 1-0 for Juventus, for Porto, sorry. And Juventus did not do anything significant in the first half until half an hour or 35 minutes into the game, really. They couldn't muster anything, big in terms of chances. Porto were playing really, really well. Cristiano Ronaldo alongside Kulusevski, they were really sidelined. Pretty much, Cristiano Ronaldo was forced to play wide, and Juventus could not find any sort of station player to play long balls into, or find spaces enough to play intricate link-up play between the defenders of Porto, who are really, really working hard. The midfield in particular was working hard for Porto. Matheus Uribe, Sergio Oliveira, Otavio, and Corona before they go out. Corona, of course, not the virus, that is, it's Jesus Corona. He was formerly of Osasuna. As for Juventus midfield, I'm not convinced by Rabiot and Bentancur. And I know people would say Rabiot is one of the best, probably, and he plays with France regularly, and he's good, he's decent, but him and Bentancur as a partnership, it just doesn't work. I mean, they're really too slow together. Bentancur in particular makes a lot of mistakes, and the mistake he made for the first goal for Porto completely got him out of the game, and that is clear. And he should have been substituted, and I'm surprised that he wasn't subbed off by Andrea Pirlo, and to get someone, I don't know, like, for example, you get someone like Dybala, who was on the bench. I don't know why he wasn't playing. He didn't have a lot of options. I mean, he either have him or Ramsey as your midfield, because you don't have the options to change shape. You don't have the options to change shape so much, really, so you probably should use someone like Dybala or Ramsey in the second half. Dybala wasn't introduced, and Ramsey was introduced, of course, in the second half. In the second half, I mean, the difference is Porto felt like they could have scored any time they were on the ball. Juventus couldn't, and Juventus being the too slow side. I mean, we saw the worst version of Juventus, like the worst kind of Juve, the Juve of Andrea Pirlo, that is slow, that doesn't get the ball right, that doesn't work it in the midfield really well, and loses it pretty quickly, which could hinder them in the way back. Now, this result, 2-1, might give a silver lining for Juve. You say to yourself, okay, 1-0, we go through. But is it really guaranteed that they're going to win in 1-0 now? I said that it could be a banana skin for Juventus on the last episode yesterday. I said it could be a banana skin for Juventus, and it was a banana skin for Juventus. And imagine this ended 2-0. I would be talking differently, and probably I would be dismissing Juventus' chances, because it's going to be almost impossible for that slow of a side, with not so much of quality in terms of the left backs. The centre halves, probably aside from Chiellini, really, De Ligt and Bonucci have been impressive this season. Merih Demiral should have been starting, really, for those two, if he's fit, and he was substituted inside 35 minutes. So I expect why you didn't start him since the beginning then. Like, why you leave your entire defensive quartet to get yellow carded. Imagine that, an entire defensive quartet got yellow carded in this game. Demiral, De Ligt, Danilo. Demiral as a sub comes on and gets yellow carded in the 87th minute. I mean, thankfully for them, Federico Chiesa scored. And, with the substitutions, Morata coming in, I mean, it brought more life to the Juventus attack with Morata, being a constant threat inside the box, Ronaldo allowed to move a little bit freely, and, playing a proper crossing style, looking for the headers, and of one of those crosses came the goal, a shimmy from Morata, and Chiesa finished, in the back of the net, and that goal was a clear silver lining. Juventus looked for a penalty, pretty much Cristiano looked for a penalty later on, and but couldn't get it. In my opinion, I didn't see it as a penalty, and Juventus will take this loss and the less damage, I think, with the 2-1 result. I mean, if this ended 2-0, goodness me, how bad would have been this received in the Italian media? I mean, it's received bad in the Italian media, but to be fair, if it was 2-0, it would be worse. Now, in the second leg, I think this is going to be a clear-cut problem for Juventus, because Porto's now motto of play is going to be defending in the second leg. Clearly, they're going to be defending. They're going to be the side who sits back and try to absorb Juventus's pressure. And we saw a lot of sides, frustrating Juventus earlier this season. And if you can frustrate Juventus, they cannot score. And if they play this slow and they don't get the ball quickly enough, or they don't find enough spaces to move, you could frustrate them easily, and you could keep them out from scoring. So this could be a really big, sort of big game for Porto. I mean, now it's well poised. Now it's well 50-50 into the second leg, and you probably could see Messi and Ronaldo again ousted from the competition really early for the second year in a row. At least it looks like Ronaldo had more chance than Barcelona now and Messi. I mean, but you cannot guarantee anything in the world of football, can you? So let's just cross our fingers and see what happens with Juventus. Although I really doubt that it will have a decent run of games. Anyway. We'll see what they do in the second leg. I mean, again, Juventus with more chances than Barcelona, but you don't know really about football, do you? Before we get on to the discussion point of our podcast episode, let's go through the Europa League fixtures really quickly. 16 games are going to be played today in the first leg of the round of 32. Dynamo Kiev versus Club Brugge. Braga faces AS Roma. Of course, Red Star Belgrade faces AC Milan. Krasnodar hosts Dinamo Zagreb. Olympiacos hosts PSV. Real Sociedad hosts Manchester United. Big game waiting. Slavia Prague faces Leicester. Wolfsburg hosts Tottenham. Hotspur Young Boys faces Bayer Leverkusen. Antwerp faces Rangers. Benfica hosts Arsenal. Granada hosts Napoli. Lille hosts Ajax. Maccabi Tel Aviv hosts Shakhtar Donetsk. Molde hosts Hoffenheim. And Salzburg hosts Villarreal. Of course, big games for Arsenal, Tottenham, and Leicester City from the Premier League. AC Milan, tricky encounter against Red Star Belgrade, and of course the big one is Real Sociedad versus Man United. This game is going to be played in the Juventus Stadium in Turin, of course, because of the coronavirus situations. There's interesting ties across the board really in the Europa League this season. I really don't want people to underestimate it. We'll see, of course, and we'll give it some thoughts, and we'll go over some matches tomorrow, hopefully, before the preview of the weekend episode. And now we're going to be back talking about the Champions League, but from a different perspective, really, from a different sort of, scope. Obviously, the fallout from the PSG Barcelona game is still haunting a lot of people. I think still haunting, Barcelona at the moment. This fallout from that game is really affecting Messi. Let's put it this way: affecting Messi. I couldn't find proper words to describe it, but I think it is indeed affecting Messi too much. This has to be the breaking point for him. I mean, this has to be. Like, if the A2 against Bayern last season wasn't exactly the breaking point, or didn't do anything of a damage to Messi, or didn't give him incentive to leave, and we had the saga that we had last summer, then this one should be. and he's now available to actually go out. I don't think he's going to stay in Barcelona. Let's put it this way: there's nothing that's going to convince him to stay at Barcelona. I think even with a new board, and like even if a new board and with a new president or whatever, I really don't think. I really don't think that. I really don't think that Barcelona are going to be keeping Messi. I don't think that they will keep him. I think he's going to be leaving. I think he's going to be, leaving this S word. Let's be honest, leaving this SHIT kind of thing, and let's be real. I mean, you can't help but feel sorry for him, and I know that, and I know really this might be horrific to say after 15 years or 16 years of Messi that. I don't know, that we saw everything, and we saw Messi win everything in that, and in that now we find that that people are expecting Messi to do certain things, but at this age, at 34, it becomes almost impossible. It really becomes somewhat of a mission impossible kind of thing for him to do anything or to save anything for Barcelona. Now, obviously for his club, this is going to be a trophyless season. Let's just put it this way: this is going to be a trophyless season. Barcelona ain't winning anything. They're going to be ousted from the cup. They're not going to be winning the league. Not with this form. Not with this kind of players. Not with this kind of performance. Not with this kind of coach. Because Ronald Koeman is a part of the problem as well. And they're going to be outside of the Champions League pretty soon. And they need to look about the future, and that future shouldn't be involving Messi. And I know this might be a wild sort of opinion, but seriously, nobody should be thinking about the future of Barcelona and thinking of Messi at the same time. Like, you cannot do that. The guy's 34, the guy did too much, the guy did everything for Barcelona, he gave a lot to that club. He won trophies with that club, he broke records, he won Ballon d'Ors, he brought you money, which is really important thing to say, because people might forget that, that Messi brought a lot of money to the club. And people blaming him for having a bumper contract of 555 million euros and saying that he, cost the club, and they said that the club is going bankrupt because of him and what have you. The guy has made money for the club. So I think his legacy, in terms of the money, in terms of the exposure, in terms of the legacy, is leaving as a legend of the footballing business and the footballing world, I think is well reserved and well deserved, and is going to be well protected, I think, after he leaves. But in terms of the results and the overall performance, I mean, some skeptical people, I think me included, are going to be looking at these last 5 years, 6 years if we count 2016 of European eliminations and European disasters, let's be facing, starting from 2017, and are going to be looking at that and say, probably, you know what, the guy has done it. The guy is done. I mean, the supporting cast is bad, and that is going to be the argument for most of it. But as much as people don't want to admit it and want to be, doing the GOAT status kind of thing, to justify, to find an argument and find a way out for Messi. Messi is a part of the problem. He's a part of those disasters. He's a part of those losses in the last couple of years. You don't tell me that Lionel Messi, a player of his status and caliber, cannot be responsible as a leader and cannot take a responsibility, or a part of it, let's be fair, a part of it in the last 5 or 6 years of that club European performances. No, he has, and he takes a part in that. He has a part in this, in the disasters that Barcelona have been having, and his part is that he seems, lacking of leadership. Again, that's a wild opinion. I'm not going to be, who am I to doubt his footballing abilities? But as far as, his charisma, having leadership, having character, on the pitch, and to boost his teammates, I don't think Messi. I mean, Messi's probably the last person you think of when you say leadership and charisma and character on the pitch, because, again, this is something that people won't admit. But back to the original point, Messi has to leave. Like, seriously, the guy has to leave and has to, keep his footballing legacy intact. Maybe look for a new challenge. Not just a new challenge, look for a team that will seriously support him and give him a supporting cast that would help him grow into another level, spend the last, 2-3 years are left in his footballing career. Like, that's gonna be like the very max. Messi's not going to be getting past the World Cup next year. Clearly, you're going to get Messi for 2, maybe 3 years at the very best. 3 years max at the very best. That is how much you're going to get Messi for. And at least in those 2-3 years, he needs to leave the club and go for another league, another club that probably would appreciate someone like Messi, give him a supporting cast that would help him, and maybe win a couple of titles as well. Maybe win another Champions League. Maybe. That could happen. Maybe win another Ballon d'Or. Let's temper expectations. Not a Ballon d'Or, though. I don't think he will do it, but, FIFA did that before and gave the Ballon d'Or to someone who doesn't deserve it. Anyway, let's not get into that discussion anyway. Again, really, I really stand in my opinion, Messi should leave Barcelona, should go find another challenge, go find another club, leave that supporting cast, leave that mess of a club, and go to a club that gives you again a supporting cast that would help you win a couple of trophies, protect your legacy, man. I mean, seriously, protect your legacy. I'm serious about it. Protect your legacy. And, I mean, if it doesn't happen this season, it won't happen, and if he's going to be spending another season at Barcelona, he's just hurting himself and hurting his legacy. And don't tell me he's the GOAT and what have you. I mean, these things are going to be stinking. These things will be remembered. Like, it's now like in 5 years. Like, it's 5 years now. This is the 5th year in a row, if we're not counting 2016 when they were ousted by Atletico Madrid, but we're talking probably about proper European disasters. 2017 with Juventus, 2018 with Roma, 19 Liverpool, 20 with Bayern, and now 21 with PSG. Like, seriously. A lot of, there's a lot of problems, there's a lot of sad moments to get through for that man, but again, this has to be the breaking point. I think Messi needs to leave and needs to find another challenge, and that's it. Like, go out of that club. Just try yourself in a new environment, in a new league, in a new environment that would help him, blossom anyway. That's it from me for this episode. Before I leave, I'm going to leave on a sour note, but the news broke as I was recording this that Benjamin Pavard has tested positive for COVID-19. I mean, obviously, get well soon to him, and clearly he's going to be isolated and going to be missing for the next couple of games, which means that probably he's going to be unavailable for the game against Lazio in the Champions League. I was with HOD of the PSP. Like, share, comment on the video on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates more importantly, and of course follow us on social media, PSP on Twitter, PSP on Instagram. You can listen to this on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform, and until the next time, I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.